Hold her up! Stop! Waiting tables. Why, hello there. I'm Alex Curtis, and this is Stop Waiting Tables, the podcast where I interview creative people of all kinds about making art and making a living. In these conversations, I'm trying to uncover tools, tactics, and strategies that you can use in your own life to do what you love and create an existence that is personally, financially, and artistically rewarding. How can we, as artists, create our own success so we're not waiting around for success to find us? How do we put ourselves in the creative driver's seat and find the inner peace to enjoy the ride? These are the questions on the table. So, let's stop waiting tables and get going, shall we? Today's guest is the music producer, Luis Rodriguez. Luis is a founding member and the president of Zodiac Creative Agency based here in New York, where he manages up-and-coming rappers producing concerts, music videos, albums, and special events. In our conversation, we talk about what interests Luis in working with musicians, his approach to cultivating new talent, and how he launched his own successful agency. Luis is born and raised in Bushwick, Brooklyn, so we talk about stories from growing up, his experience in a gang, and what he learned from a year spent homeless as a teenager. Talking to Luis, what I think is really incredible is the way that he has identified opportunities and teamed up with people around him to elevate the entire group to the next level. We have a great conversation. I really hope that you enjoy it. And so without further ado, here he is, Luis Rodriguez. Well, first off, thanks for doing this, man.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so you work as a concierge. You have a music production company agency.
Yeah, we just started a creative agency called Zodiac.
Okay, but you were just telling me that you would walk away from all of that if you could be a tuna fisherman.
I would definitely walk away from it all if I can be a tuna fisherman, or on the show, Wicked Tuna.
Now, because I don't know anything about being a tuna fisherman or the show Wicked Tuna, what is the appeal? What is that? What makes
Honestly,
tuna fishery so interesting to you? You're like all the things I've worked to build up. You know, like just don't.
I mean, life on the water seems really relaxing. These tuna fishermen seem to have it hard too at times with storms. Honestly, these big tunas that they're getting, if you can catch just one, they average at like $19 a pound, and they're like 400 pounds a pop. So you catch 7 of those bad boys in one day with a great team of just 3 to 4 people. That's a good payout.
So is it just the money?
It is the money. It is the adventure of water. I mean, I don't eat seafood, so that's the irony in it. I won't be eating my own product, that's for sure. But I definitely would like to see life on water as to life in a building in New York City.
But have you ever seen The Perfect Storm?
Yes, I have seen The Perfect Storm. That was one crazy movie.
And you're not afraid of being George Clooney going down with the boat at the end of the movie?
Captains go down with the boat. It's what we do.
Okay, well, you know, if that opportunity arises, I will wish you the best. But it doesn't look like that's the way your life is going at this point.
No, not right now. Tuna fishing seems to be a little out of the water for me.
But
Pun.
Nice. Well done. Can you tell me about Zodiac? Your company does so. What are all the things that Zodiac does?
Well, right now we're offering music production for our artists. We do music videos as well. We just got into fashion. We offer sweaters and shirts. Trying to get more into the modeling business, and also eventually down the line, I want to start independent filming and movie making.
And you do events, right?
We also host events, yeah. During the summer, we did a lot of crazy events.
So, what do you call this? I mean, because you don't just do music. You don't do just any one thing. So is Zodiac like a creative agency? I don't know. What do you call it? What's the business exactly?
Yeah, our label Zodiac, exactly that. Just Zodiac, the creative agency. Started as music, and we just branched off into everything else.
So what was the inception moment for Zodiac?
I'm seeing all the music and the kids come together in the group. Seeing everybody get their passion together. Seeing people from different areas of New York City just vibe out to music. The youth nowadays it's not how it was when I was growing up. Changed a lot.
You're from New York.
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Bushwick, Brooklyn.
Okay. For anybody listening who's not from New York, can you just tell us a little bit about Bushwick?
Bushwick. Where do we start? Bushwick is definitely the neighborhood to go to for everything. From food to sceneries to chill bars, females. It's definitely a melting pot in New York City. Commuters there, the people are different, have all the trains. There's a lot Bushwick has to offer, and you can see how it changed as to how it was 10 to 15 years ago before gentrification took part in Brooklyn.
The way that I know Bushwick now is it's, like you were saying, like tons of bars and like a lot of like young people, and I know that that's a place that like the new generation of like scrappy upstart artists and hipsters are going to. But what was it like before then, like when you were growing up?
It was honestly really rough. Can't lie there. We had hard corners. I mean, we had the drug dealers, we had the prostitution, we had the cops on beat walking the streets. We had people who would come to our neighborhoods and just either come for drugs or they were lost. Those were the only two options for people who weren't minorities to be in Bushwick. You were either lost or you were buying some drugs. And that's how it was for me when I grew up. That's pretty much how I remember Bushwick being really hard on the street.
So what was that like being there as a kid? Did you just walk around like afraid all the time, or just like get used to it? Like, how did you deal with being a kid? Like
as a kid in Bushwick,
in that environment.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I still had those moments where I played in the parking lot across the street from my apartment. Played stickball. We played handball. But there was also a lot of drug users and drug selling around my neighborhood as well. Never really scared me. I mean, we're human. We all adapt. Right. So I just really realized it as. But it's definitely not an environment I would have wanted to raise my kids in.
Do you still live in Bushwick?
Yeah.
So have you lived in Bushwick sort of uninterrupted your entire life from like birth to present?
Not necessarily completely uninterrupted, but I've run into a couple bumps in the road.
That was a lot of thinking for a basically yes or no question.
Yeah, I have to watch what I say. But honestly, I mean, I've never really been the type to look the other way when things happen. But growing up in Bushwick, you just have to look the other way sometimes and mind your business.
Okay, and so I take it that there were stints not in Bushwick because maybe you didn't mind your own business?
No, I mean, I left Bushwick for different reasons, but I eventually ended up coming back after gentrification.
You went to 6 different high schools.
Yeah, I went to 6 high schools in 2 years.
And graduated early.
Yeah, still graduated at the age of 17.
Okay, what's the story with that?
So, I started off in Bushwick High School. From there, I went to Forest Hills. After Forest Hills, I went to Jersey. Came back to Forest Hills. After that was Grover Cleveland. And I finally graduated from the school in Long Island City called Information Technology High School. Reason for all those transfers and expels from school was I wasn't the easiest kid growing up. I was kind of a hard-headed one. But to be honest with you, it was really off of like fights and just me looking a certain way or looking at people a certain way.
Right. You've said that basically the entire problem is your face.
Yeah. People just assume I'm such a hardcore person with my stone face. They just always ask me, what am I looking at? And that's how the problem seems to arise at the occasion.
So how does the dialogue go? You're standing there with a stone face.
It's usually me either being really stoned with a stone face, just looking, and somebody coming up to me like, what am I looking at?
Right.
And I'll hit
And you're
him.
stoned, so you're probably just spacing out, honestly.
Yeah, I'm just spacing out, to be honest with you. I just hit him with the nothing much. And then it goes into the you're soft or you're pussy, and pow, that's where it all starts from. So never start something you can't finish. And I definitely make sure I finish my end. I had to pay the consequences for that.
Now, when you are in a fight and you're stoned, how does that fight go?
Well, it depends on how stoned you are. You see, you can't get into a fight after smoking because you probably second guess yourself. You probably start thinking, what did I do to this person? So your best bet is to always fight before getting high. Me, though, I usually just wait a while. Problems never seem to arise as soon as I finish getting high. I usually go get myself a burger or something, then deal with everything else out there in the world.
Me knowing you now, I would never know that you were, a guy who was like rough and tumble in high school. Did that just go away, the fighting, like as you got older? Or was there like a decision about like, if someone asks what I'm looking at, I'm not going to say anything?
I definitely had an epiphany in my life. My mother definitely wanted me to just get my diploma and give her that. I am the first person in my family to graduate high school. My father never passed the 7th grade. So I wanted to make sure I gave my mom what she wanted, and that was that diploma. At least that would be the first step to bringing her some happiness.
And so then once you got her the diploma, you were like, no more fighting. Now I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, the fighting definitely had to cool down. It cooled down with different schools. My last school was in Long Island City, Queens. The crowd isn't that rough over there.
No one was really that concerned at that point about what you were looking at.
Nah, they really weren't.
All right. And so just bridging the gap. Okay, so born in Bushwick, go to school in Bushwick plus all over New York. And then what was the next step from there?
After high school was just straight working.
As what? What kind of work?
I've bounced back from jobs, small jobs, nothing really serious, and then the all-time hustling.
Right.
Yeah. So I had to hustle a lot when I was younger. I got kicked out of my crib when I was 17. I was on my own since then. So a lot of hustling was involved. I sold stuff to get paid and just make sure I saved up money for a rainy day.
Yeah. You were saying, because we talked before, we started recording, that out of high school you were on your own for a year.
Yeah. I was literally homeless after all that happened.
Was this like living out of a car homeless? Or
this was living out of parks and Union Square to hospitals and emergency rooms. I was literally on my own with no friends, no family, no one really there who said they were there. But this was an eye-opener for me. It made me completely independent. It made me appreciate everything I had. And it made me appreciate my family and the tough love. Being homeless, I didn't really want anybody to know how it was for me or what I was going through. So I always kept myself well groomed. Any money I would make, I'll take the $20 and buy myself a membership at Planet Fitness, so I'll be able to take a shower, look the part, look clean, look hygienic, and go about my business on an everyday routine.
You said that you were hustling a lot at that point in time, so you were making some money.
Yeah, hustling came a little bit after the fact of being in the street, where after a couple hard times, I just realized I need to get this money quicker, and I'm not the type to rob my way in. So I would hustle, sell drugs to get paid.
You were in a gang at some point?
Yeah, so I joined a gang when I was younger. I won't really get into which gang. But my gang, my set was they actually helped raise me. I was very appreciative of my set. I was the youngest person in my set, and they would always come and talk to me and give me the best consultations I needed in my life. They would push me to go to school. They would actually come to my high school when I was younger and check in with my guidance counselor to see how my credits were doing and if I was cutting class and stuff. So I'm really happy for having those people by my side as well, growing up, honestly speaking.
And did those guys help you out at all, while you were doing your homeless time?
Honestly, they were already doing stuff with their own lives. They helped as much as they could. They definitely gave me the talks. They definitely sent me money when I needed it. But for the most part, they were busy getting their lives together in place to help provide a better future for their family and for the youth like me.
Yeah. So what were your takeaways from this time, like in your life? Like, I imagine... So this is all happening when you're, what, 17, 18?
Yeah, this was around 16, 17, all this is happening.
Okay, so 16, 17, you finished high school, you're really on your own. You have had this community, you sort of still have this community of the group that you've been in, but are facing the real world in a way that most people don't. I mean, that because 16, 17 is a really tough transition into young adulthood, from young adulthood into actual adulthood anyway. But then you're doing that in this really intense circumstance. And I just wasn't sure if there was anything about that time that, looking back, has actually helped carry you forward in a way, or maybe it was all just shitty. But was there any silver lining or lessons learned?
Everything was a lesson learned then. Definitely just an eye-opener, and like I said, it made me appreciate everything I had. My gang, my set, they eventually faded out as well, doing their own thing, and I became more independent on my own, and I got my first apartment after that. Started working. At that point I was 18 when I got my own apartment, and I was back on my feet. I was working and hustling, and I was just getting into the music as well at that time. Okay,
so by getting into music, are you a musician?
I am not a musician. I manage different artists, and I definitely just want to see musicians grow any way I can.
So what did getting into music look like in the beginning? So at 18?
At 18, we were vibing out to all different kind of music. It wasn't the mumble rap that the youth listens to nowadays, not to take away anything from the mumble rappers. They definitely are doing their thing now. But music was more in depth for me growing up. The rappers all were icons to us, and a different kind of icon, not just a pill-popping icon.
Who are some of the people you looked up to?
Growing up, I listened to a lot of Jay-Z, a lot of Wu-Tang, Fabulous, a lot of Brooklyn-based artists. I always wanted to try and meet some of these artists and see what they can teach me.
Yeah. Have you?
I have not met any of the artists yet, unfortunately. But I'm still young and I'm still trying to make that happen.
All right. So, what was your first job with musicians, or your first way of getting involved with musicians?
Me and my sister, actually, my god sister, she's from the Bronx. She's a couple years older than me. She had found a rapper, a younger rapper in the Bronx. His name is Ernie. He was 15, 16 when we met him. And I was just investing into music at that point. I really wasn't doing much but putting up money towards studio time and making sure the rapper or musician had what he needed.
You were putting money towards that?
Yeah, I was investing at this time already.
Okay, so your god sister found
the artist. Yeah, she would manage him and I would invest in him.
So here's something I just don't know about the music industry. What does a management company do? So, for example, I know the way that having an agent or a manager as an actor works, which is they do the work of hustling to get you an audition. So they, are submitting you for opportunities. They get you an audition, and then if you book the role, you give them 10 to 15% of whatever you make.
Yeah.
Since it's not as like specific, I don't know, it doesn't feel as cut and dry with music. So how does the model work of like, what are you giving them if you're their manager, and what are you getting back?
Honestly, it's pretty much the same thing. We invest to make sure our artists have their studio time, they have their rehearsal time, they also are getting put on to perform publicly. And yeah, we do have our cut at the end of the day. Same cut, I would say about 10 to 15%, if that. But it's mostly the same thing, just hustling to find the musician what he needs so he can grow.
Yeah. I mean, that's really cool because as an actor, managers and agents aren't involved in anything like rehearsal time. There isn't anything developmental. It's really about just getting you the gig.
Yeah.
So is that unique that you work with sort of, it sounds like you work with the growth of the artist and the development of the artist and them, you know, them working on something, not just them making it or them doing it. You know, it's not just the concert that you're worrying about. It seems like you're...
Yeah, we're definitely not worried just about the artist getting paid for his gig so that way we can get paid off the artist. We definitely want to invest in our artists and see the growth of them. I've seen the growth in all of my artists now, and it's just day one still. It still hasn't even picked up where we needed to pick up, but they have grown so much, and it's less than a year. So happy for that.
Well, right. But just to clarify, that's less than a year of Zodiac.
Yeah, of Zodiac.
Right, because in the timeline of your life, we're still at 18 with Ernie?
Ernie, yeah.
Okay, so whatever happened to Ernie? Is he now with Zodiac?
Yeah, Ernie's was one of the first artists that got signed to Zodiac. Still with us.
So how many years has that been, you and Ernie?
I've been working with Ernie now going on 5 years.
Wow, man. Yeah. Just to give you the opportunity to do some bragging, what's happened? Where was Ernie when you first met him, and where is he now? What do you feel proud of in terms of the work that you've done? Because he's got to be your oldest client, right? Or one of the oldest?
Yeah, he's one of my oldest clients. Ernie definitely has grown a lot. We've released probably about 4 tapes for him so far, and I can hear the difference in him from his first tape to his latest tape. He's definitely grew more, and I just want to see him continue to grow. He's one of my proudest achievements, I feel, as to this music thing, and it's more of a privilege working with him than a job itself, because watching him grow has helped me grow. Since you're not an artist yourself, I find, again, in the acting world, that a lot of people who are agents or even like casting directors were actors who then, you know, decided to switch careers, you know, usually because they want more stability. But since you have never been a musician yourself, what's the thing that is most gratifying to you? What pulls you to work with musicians and to do this work in artist management? Can you repeat the question one more time?
The question is basically, since you've never been a musician yourself, what's the kick you get out of working with musicians? What's the kick you get out of representing and developing talent?
If I have to
you to
be
the work?
Completely honest, it definitely is the sense of networking and then actually getting to close a deal. I definitely love to see the management of my artists and help them grow, but with this whole thing, since it has started, thing as in Zodiac, it's really just family based. We've all came from different places in the city, and we all just build such a chemistry, and it's so family related now. I don't even look at my artists as like artist management type of label. It's more of like a little brother or someone I'm trying to help pursue and open up doors for them.
Yeah. So it seems like there's sort of 2 things in that answer. On the one hand, there's you get to be the one who creates opportunities for them, so you get to see the results of, your networking and you're sort of pushing on their behalf, and then you also get to see, which is sort of that's sort of like the result of you, which is the sales side, but then you also get to see this human development, which feels kind of like you get to be. It sounds like you're a salesman and almost a teacher or mentor at the same time.
That's how I feel as well. That's how I kind of take it as. Most of these artists, they know what they come into the booth doing, but they just don't have the people to help them push. And that's what Zodiac is here for. Here to help you, help yourself, and then we can all grow as one.
So, at 18, your god sister gets you involved with
Ernie
for the very first time. And so, was your god sister the first person to want to do music, and then you sort of jumped onto her bandwagon?
Yeah, so she's always been into the music world.
Is she a musician?
No, she doesn't rap either. She just really loves music.
Just digs it.
Yeah, she's always been like that ever since we were younger. And me finally growing and coming back from a hard time in my life, I definitely learned how to hold on to my money. So from that, I invested in helping my sister with her artists, and we just became a whole from there.
Here's a dumb question. If at this point in your life you have some money, you have enough money to invest in starting to support artists and start working with Ernie, you also go through a period of having like the same lame jobs as the rest of us. You've been a bartender, you've worked security, and we'll come to your current job working as a concierge. But at the time that you have enough money to invest, you also do jobs that sounds like financially you don't have to do. So what's basically, because I'm asking, why do them?
Yeah, I'm definitely the type to appreciate the little things in life. My mom always told me if you don't fight yourself getting out of bed in the morning to go to work, then you got a pretty good job. And me, it's always been the people in my job who helped me keep my job. It's not because I wanted to do them or I needed to do them. We live in a place where you really don't need to do anything you don't want to do. I've really just enjoyed working with people, and I realized that networking and working the jobs I've done, whether it be bartending, whether it be security guard, whether it be my job right now as a concierge, I've learned to utilize these jobs and just network and build off of them.
If you were advertising or like straight talking those three jobs to somebody, someone's like, man, I need another way to make money, and you were just going to talk about those three things, what are the highs and lows of being a bartender, being a security guard, and then being a concierge?
I mean, I honestly don't feel that there's any highs or lows to it. The way I view a job is, you know what you're getting yourself into before you apply to the job. I know being a security guard, though, I would meet a lot of people. I know being a bartender, I would talk to a lot of people. I know being a concierge, I would help a lot of people. So I utilize those three jobs to help me as a person just be a better person.
Wow, man. That's big picture thinking.
Thank you, man.
Totally. Did you get to meet anybody really cool or famous as a security guard?
I worked as a security guard in Manhattan on Union Square. Definitely ran into a lot of people. Definitely met a lot of people. That's honestly where I met my first business partner, who helped me start Zodiac.
Oh, they're still involved?
He was the first person I met working as a security guard in Union Square. He worked for another business in the facility where I worked at. And we just met, we kicked it off, and smoked some pot, to be honest, and it all started from there.
My girlfriend just joined a band, and the guy who started it, he used to work at the Polo Bar, and a lot of the people that he's assembled to be in the band were other people at the Polo Bar. I mean, and I just saw them. They had, I don't think it was their first gig ever, but the first one I saw. And it was awesome. And I think that's just a really great skill to be able to see who's in front of you and how people that you know from the place that isn't necessarily your dream. You know, like he wanted to be a musician, not like a server. But it was by being a server and being able to see who else was in the room with him that he's now created such a wonderful opportunity to be a kick-ass musician. And it sounds like you were able to do the same thing of being in this job, which you have a great perspective on, and to see who else is around and what can you do with them that's the next big opportunity.
Yes, that's how it was exactly. And with Tevin, my business partner, he got me into actually sneaker collecting, and he had put up some money to start a sneaker app with a friend, and their app kicked off, and sneaker collection sales were booming for me as well, and that helped me get a lot of the money today to start up my own agency.
Okay, you say that completely nonchalant, so let's like walk that back a little bit, because the entire idea of like sneaker collecting is something that I don't know anything about. So the only thing I know about sneaker collecting is that I walk by Kith on a regular basis, which is a fancy fashion spot that sells sneakers, and that there will be like a line around the block when a new sneaker is coming out. But that's the only thing I know about sneaker collecting. So just for some background, as like a tidbit of trivia knowledge, who collects sneakers? What are the good ones? How does sneakers make money? I don't know. If I'm in Sneaker Investing 101, can you just give me the first?
Sure,
lesson?
Let's break down sneaker reselling for you. So, the youth is honestly the consumers for the sneakers. They're actually kids younger than me purchasing these sneakers. I don't know how.
Age?
Starts from 14 probably up until people older than me in their 30s. The crowd is definitely mixed, but the youth is the one who's picking up to the sneaker reselling. These kids in Kith, honestly, they line up in front of these sneaker stores for the newest Jordans, the newest Adidas, the newest Yeezys, the Off-Whites, whatever collabs are possibly coming out, Supreme, all this. And they buy these things at retail price, and they sell them, they resell them for 3 times as much.
Now, if I'm the consumer, why would I ever buy a resale sneaker when presumably they're out there for retail and I can just go get them?
Nah, it's not the case. The retail goes overnight. Not even. It can sell out in 3 minutes, less than that. Once these things sell out, that retail value is no longer there. Your resale value is what's going to go up. And that's honestly what happens with these guys who line up in Kith. They buy for retail. Once that retail is sold out and you can't get it anymore, that resale value goes up.
And I'm imagining that there are sizes that are more valuable than others.
Yeah, you can use apps like GOAT or StockX, and you'll see the difference in sizes, how an 8.5 will cost you way more than possibly a 10. Little things like that make a difference. So these sneaker sellers, they know exactly what sizes to buy out, so that way they know that they're gonna get more money for those pairs.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all a whole logic and science to it, but once you get that money algorithm going, you're good to go.
And then, if I've now bought these sneakers, it's just cool to. I mean, I apologize if these are all dumb questions. I'm someone who owns one pair of shoes, wears them for a year until like the soles are shredded, and then I buy a new pair of sneakers I wear for another year till the soles are shredded. So, but this is more like there's bragging rights, and it's cool to have the newest release of the Yeezys and the Air Jordans.
Yeah, you just want to be cool. You want to be down. You want to be that dude. You want to be the one who has it. You want to have the drip. You want to just be like these celebrities and retain that same attitude with your clothes and your sneakers. And that's honestly all it is about. It's about boasting and bragging and just having it.
Right. So when you're in a room with people, do you check out everybody's sneakers and like size them up?
I definitely do check out people's sneakers when I'm in a room with them, see what they have on their feet, see what they dripping on.
What is the coolest pair of sneakers that you've ever seen someone wearing?
I mean, there's so many, to be honest with you. Some of my favorites, though, I'm a big Jordan head. I definitely love my Jordans. Love my 8s. But the pairs to have now that's going crazy for the youth are these Off-Whites. Off-Whites sell at $190 to $220, and they go on up to $900.
Wait, so that's the transition from retail to resale. Is I pay retail to something and I sell them for $9 something.
That's true. That's correct.
Whoa.
Yeah. So you see these kids outside lined up in front of these sneaker stores for the newest Off-Whites. Don't think they're stupid. They definitely just try and get to the money.
Okay. And so you did this.
I would never line up in front of a store for sneakers. I have my ways to getting my own sneakers.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Can you not divulge what your tricks are?
Oh, no, just, I use apps. I use bots for sneakers, as illegal as that is. But I definitely make sure if I want something, I'll go get it for retail. Right. I don't do buying anything at resale value.
Well, that sounds like that's a really smart financial decision, considering you'd be paying $700 extra.
Couldn't see myself doing it.
All right. But you're going to sell to people who can do it.
I will definitely sell to people who could afford it.
Okay. So, to pick back up the story of Lou. So, you're 18. Your god sister has found an artist, Ernie, that she's really excited about. Mm-hmm. And you've got the money to contribute. And so you do. I
met with my partner, Tevin.
Okay, so Tevin you met being a security guard. Mm-hmm. So that must have been around the same time that you're doing that job? 18-ish?
Yeah, it was around 18, 19.
Okay.
Working security in the city. And I met Tevin. He put me onto the sneaker reselling. He started an app with a friend. And that got me a lot of money quick. A lot of money really quick. And with that money being saved up and his money, we just got to it. We started brainstorming ideas. He came out with the Zodiac idea.
Okay.
And when he brought that to the table, I was really stoked.
How did he sell you?
He had his own artist at this time. He had one young artist, Chopper. And Chopper was around 15, 16. And I had my artist, Ernie. And we were just talking music. And we mixed our groups together. We introduced both our artists to one another. And that's honestly the first start of Zodiac.
Okay. What's the name mean? Or what's it a reference to?
Zodiac goes to for just how everybody in the group is different. And it's just unified. Just like zodiac signs. There's different zodiac signs. But we're all human. Everybody has a different sign, but we're all the same.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much where Zodiac came from. Our colors and our symbol represent unity. We have a triquarter as our symbol. Not for any religious reasons, of course, but just definitely to show the unity within everybody. Like I said, I don't view my musicians as just musicians. They are all family, all of them.
Awesome.
Thanks.
So, you have an artist. Tevin has an artist. And if I can poke at this a little bit more, we've got a 6-year gap, right? Between you starting with Ernie and then Zodiac coming together.
Yeah.
Would you just... So we can do this quick, but can you just sketch in what happens in those 6 years?
Within those 6 years, me meeting Ernie and the stuff with Tevin didn't happen so gradually. There was a lot of stuff that happened in between that before we actually got to the move of Zodiac. Zodiac honestly didn't get to actually begin until 2018. So after being in high school, it was a lot of you had to build up the money for everything.
Right.
So there's a lot of hustling involved from then and there, and me still working at the same time while hustling. Yeah, I was definitely trying to build up more of a hunger for the music thing, because me at that time, I wasn't as so hungry as I am now for it.
And at that time, who you hadn't? I mean, so it's not like you hadn't like gone to music production school. You weren't, at least that you've mentioned, working with an existing music agent or manager. So how did you guys have any idea what to do or how to start?
We were pretty much starting as, basic rapper 101. We would go to the studio, ask how much is an hour, book a few hours there, and learn from there. Whatever questions we had, we would ask our engineer. In the game, when you're first starting, there's no such thing as a stupid question. So you want to make sure you ask as much as you can. And that's exactly what we did. We're still fully independent, and we're still learning as we're going. But I can honestly say that we came a long way from when it was just 5 years ago, when I just thought of it as a killing time and smoking blunts in the studio, till now where it's actually more well ran, professionally ran actually. And we get it done. We get a lot of tracks done in just a short time.
So here's a question about the, I guess the routine or the responsibilities of a manager, because it sounds like you're involved in production. Again, so because my only point of reference is the actor world, agents or managers in our world, they don't make a play with you. They don't make a short film with you. They don't really have any involvement. There's like people out in the world who are doing plays or making movies, and they're just trying to get you seen. So it's really wonderful to have them. I'm not like saying that they don't do anything, but it doesn't sound like it sounds like the scope of what you do is way bigger. So you're paying for recording time.
Yeah, we pay for our studio time with our artists. We pay for rehearsal time with our artists. Everything gets done through us, and we really don't ask for much.
And then you're booking gigs with them, for them.
Yeah, we do a lot of open mics, whether it be in Brooklyn, Manhattan, Bronx, Queens, doesn't matter. Most of my artists are New York City based, except for one, and the one who isn't flies out to New York City ever so often. So we get a lot of shows done when we need to. But right now it's just really just been a lot of recording and just holding on to tracks and knowing when to release them.
How do you find your artists?
All of my artists honestly are close friends or friends of friends, and that's how it started. I have a cousin who's involved, have people who I've just met. My business partner, he also is an artist himself, Tev. He's released his mixtape. He's released a few music videos. So it's not like we're just managing to manage. We definitely have managers who are in the field with the artists trying to grow as well.
Yeah. So, where are the open mics? How do you find them?
Open mics, honestly, when people network with us through social media. So we can book different gigs in Manhattan, and we'll meet other artists there, and they'll tell us about other open mics, and it's honestly just word of mouth.
There's not like a website that has a list of open mics or anything like that?
I'm sure there is, but we just prefer to use word of mouth or social media, man. Social media.
And then I know, so you have 7 artists at this point.
Yes.
And you'll actually create collaborations between them. How does that work? Because I imagine that everyone's intending to build a solo career. Everyone wants to be famous sort of by themselves.
Correct.
So how do you pitch collaborations? What's the point of collaborations for you?
To me, honestly, each one of my artists is different from the next one. So when they collab, they're just bringing 2 different worlds into one track. And It's like bringing the best of two things in one. Vanilla and chocolate, man. Gotta have it together.
Yeah, mix in flavors, salt and pepper.
Yeah. So it's definitely diverse, and as long as the artists don't mind it, we'll try new things, you know? You can never go wrong if you don't try.
Yeah, you were saying something earlier about how you have to balance a bunch of different agendas. You've got to balance the public, then what you guys want, and then also what the artist wants. Can you just talk about that more?
So there has been hectic times, as with artists making sure they want their spotlight, making sure that they have their studio time. So we book, now we've no longer to book 4-hour sessions. We book 10 to 12-hour sessions in our studios, so that way we can break down and give each one of our artists equal time, and then also have time for us and managers to listen and play everything back and see how we feel.
Right. How do you feel that those things are different? What the artist wants, what the public wants, and then what you want? Or, how are their priorities different?
Well, so you gotta make sure you give the public what they want first.
What do they tend to want?
The artists follow the public. The public usually just wants a good track, man. They want something that they could jump to, something that they could vibe out to, and that's what we try and give them. My youngest artist, Chopper, has released a song with this rapper from Brooklyn who's really well known out here. His name is Jay Critch, and that video alone has got a lot of views from us and given us some play. Yeah. So we've got to grow from there as well.
Cool. So you're launching these artists, making music videos with them, putting their music out there. How are you getting their music out there? Is it mostly just iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube?
We use what else do you use? Lot of major streaming platforms: Tidal, iTunes, Apple Music, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube. If I didn't name that one already, sorry.
I don't think you did. I think I said YouTube, but you didn't. Oh. So you're good.
Copy that, and
you'd be good anyway, just for the record.
Thanks. We also put up our music videos once they're produced and finalized on websites like WorldStar and Pigeons and Planes and Elevator.
Okay.
So we're trying to get up there. It's using all these new social media based apps and websites to try and grow, and if not grow, just meet other artists who we can all grow as a whole.
Yeah, to make new collaborations.
Yeah, if not, just taking their ideas into consideration as well.
What attracts you to an artist?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
To me, in my eyes, is a good artist who can honestly pour out his heart into his lyrics. Somebody who knows what they want and takes their music serious. Doesn't let anybody else tell them different, unless they but takes proper constructive criticism, because that's also something that plays a factor in this role. Not everybody's gonna like your music. Not everybody's gonna want to hear what you have to say. So you have to learn how to take some constructive criticism in this as well.
Yeah. So, can you tell me about a couple of your artists and how they fit that bill?
I think Mars is doing pretty good, to be honest. Ernie, one of my artists who I've worked with from the beginning, who I spoke about earlier, he's transitioned from being a young rapper to speaking about a lot more things that me personally, I wouldn't have seen him doing this 5 years ago.
So what did he talk about 5 years ago, and what does he talk about now?
5 years ago was just the basic drugs, guns, females, what people wanted to hear. Now you can tune into his music and actually hear life stories. You can hear about rest in peace to his brothers, but the death of both his brothers before the age of 16. He speaks a lot about his life, and I definitely got to see that growth with him as an artist. Chopper's definitely grown in just this last year alone as an artist. So it's good seeing all these different musicians just take their art seriously.
Yeah, and then you're interested in a friend of mine.
Yeah. Can we speak about him as well?
Yeah, please.
Sure. So we have this Conscience rapper. I'm sure he's from Brooklyn as well, right?
He and I have had a lot of conversations, but have never had the conversation of, where are you from? I actually think he might be Bronx. I feel like on some Instagram video he like tagged a location. It was Bronx, but I could be totally bullshitting that.
Yeah, your friend is more of a conscious woke rapper. He's definitely different from what the kids are listening to now. But what he's saying is something I could definitely vibe out to, and I want to have to work with him. I want him to work with two of these artists I think will make a perfect fit for him. So I'm hoping to see that happen soon too.
So what is a conscience rapper?
A conscience rapper is somebody who speaks more or less about issues in society, issues in life, not just drugs or popping Percocets or fucking females. It's more realistic, more stuff you can relate to, more things that keep you woke in society.
Yeah. So you're working with these rappers, you're helping develop them. So I understand where, like the music production comes in and music videos come in, which are two aspects of Zodiac. But then you also listed clothing and events. How do events and clothing fit into your business model?
Clothing honestly started with just the sneakers. You definitely need some good clothing to match your sneakers. And
so once you've bought the $900 resale sneakers,
yeah, we made our own sweaters for our logo on them. You can find them on zodiacagency.com. We definitely have our own shirts too. We just finished printing. Everything's embroidered in Brooklyn and has our logo on them. You should definitely check it out. We've had a couple models for Danny Garcia's younger twin sisters. They've modeled our clothing for us. Slevin Monroe, who is famous stripper in New York City, she's modeled some of our clothes for us as well. So we're trying to get more with the fashion. Events, though. Events are honestly like the outlet to all the things we put on us. It takes a lot of planning to it. But once the event is in full effect and it's happening and you can just kick back and see the expression on everybody else's face just enjoying themselves and vibing out to your music while doing it, it's a good feeling. And it also helps like being able to take that money and do positive things with it. We started a charity as well with Zodiac this year before the school year started. From the events we did, we took money and got book bags and filled them with school supplies, and we gave them to all the kids in our cities that needed them.
Yeah,
we helped out a lot of kids and a lot of parents who probably ain't have it in this season for certain school supplies, or a lot of us are living check to check, so they probably ain't have it that week and ain't want to wait till the next week to give their children the proper things they needed for school. We made sure that we tried to supply them with the stuff they needed.
That's really great.
Thanks.
Is it correct that events, it's another outlet for your artists? So the music videos is a way to get your artists' music out there. Recording is a way to get their music out there. And then the events, if you're always booking one of your artists to perform, that's another way to get their music out there. Is that?
Yeah, it's definitely how we network a lot is through our events. We have somebody at our door. We make sure if they pay for an event or they come in, they follow us. So we make sure we get that on our social media. As long as we have people constantly following us and we're constantly putting out music and videos, the consistency is what everybody looks for, I feel. And I feel like Zodiac has done a lot in just these 10 months in this year.
Yeah, so how do you guys organize your time? Do you have like meetings where you decide like for the next 3 months we're going to work on producing more events?
In our studio sessions, we usually split into 2 groups. Back of house and front of house going into the record booth. Back of house staying in the other room just speaking out what are we planning to do with Zodiac's future. We've taken time to given our artists each individual time to work on solo projects that they have as well as collabs that they wanted to do with other artists within Zodiac and outside of Zodiac. It definitely does take a lot of time, but if you don't put in the time and you don't want it, what's the whole point of it, in my eyes? Zodiac has helped me manage my time a lot more better because I feel like when I'm with my group, they help me as well. I wouldn't be able to do all this if I didn't have the other 4 people behind me.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have like a role? Is it like the Ninja Turtles where one guy is like the smart one and the other one's the leader and the other one's the angry one? Like, do you guys all have...
Now, we have a little chain of command. You know, Tevin's on top. I'm right after him and my sister follows. And as for that chain of command thing, I mean, we all just give each other input and see how we can make it happen. I definitely bring everything back to the top of the chain to make sure they approve of it and make sure that they put in their input as well. Because like I said, just because you like it doesn't mean everybody else will. Just because everybody else likes it doesn't mean you won't. So you should definitely take everything into consideration.
Yeah. What do you feel like is your special contribution to Zodiac?
I'm just the one who put the pieces together, I feel.
So you're the connector.
Yeah, I feel like I just find certain beats for my artists. I feel like I take the road to making sure artists are good. Not that the other back of house doesn't do it, because everybody contributes to Zodiac. I just make sure I do it on my end.
So if somebody else out there, whether they're an artist or if they're someone who knows an artist, wanted to launch a production company, what's some advice you would give them?
Definitely make sure you're well invested into yourself and your artists. If you don't believe in your artist 100%, don't do it. Don't waste each other's time.
Right. And if you are invested.
And if you're well invested into your artists, keep on. Don't let nobody tell you different. You and your artist will make magic, and just have patience. This thing doesn't happen overnight.
About how many hours a week do you put on Zodiac?
Between working 40 hours as a concierge, Zodiac is another 40-hour job after it. As soon as I get off of work, it's just Zodiac. And I usually stop that around 10 o'clock at night. So it's something that goes on 7 days a week as well. If not more hours than my regular job too.
Really?
Yeah.
So then you're working like 80 to 100 hour weeks, depending on...
Yeah, 52 weeks in a year. That's how we do it here. It's definitely a non-stop grind. I enjoy it though. Music's always been a hobby of mine. Networking has always been a hobby of mine. Just seeing the happiness in people always brings me a little bit of joy too. So that's always the icing on top of everything.
So if you're spending 40 hours a week working as a concierge, and then another 40 to 60 hours a week working for Zodiac, when do you ever see your dogs?
Oh, my dogs are always with us. They're always with us. They're part of Zodiac too. Those are our mascots, guys. Giannis and Pandora. Make sure you check them out.
Oh yeah. So they don't have to stay at home. These are like, they hang out in the studio.
Yeah, they come with us to the studio. Giannis actually has been in a couple of our music videos. Yeah, so they're growing with us as well. Giannis does freelance dog modeling. Pandora's kind of still young, but we're trying to see what we can do with that as well.
Dog modeling?
Yeah, Giannis gets hit-ups to be modeling people's products and dog food just for a simple dog check.
I have literally never heard of dog modeling.
You'd be surprised what people do for pets in New York City.
Do you represent your dogs as part of your agency?
Giannis is 100% represented by a Zodiac agency.
But what about your plant? Because I also know, in addition to having dogs, you're a proud plant father.
I am a proud plant father. I love my plant. I got it from a resident in my job as a concierge, and she gave me a trimming of just her plant. And it's been growing. It's been growing really beautifully, guys. Being a plant parent has as weird and I don't know how I should word this, but it's brought me joy to my life. The little things, like I make sure I water my plant every other day. It gives me a sense of responsibility. Not that I didn't have it with my dogs, but it's an inner peace with a plant. Like it's like having a kid. I want to make sure you check up on it. Dogs are just time consuming as well. That's more expensive than having a regular kid sometimes. But if I'm out planting my dogs, I mean, I'm just your basic Joe, I guess.
I think the thing that's so peaceful about being a plant dad is that, like, if dogs need something, they'll bark, they'll jump, they have ways of asking you. Mm-hmm. And And those ways of asking you are like loud and disruptive and bothersome. The same with a kid. A kid will cry, and that's how you know that they want something. So it's not that crying is bad; it's important, but it's not pleasant. I don't think we have to lie about that.
Yeah.
But a plant won't cry. It can't yell. It can't jump or bark. It's just you don't give it what it wants, it just withers and dies slowly.
Yeah. So you definitely see what you're responsible for with a plant. Like I said, I got mine as a trimming, and now it's grown so beautifully. I guess seeing the results of being a good plant parent is what brings me the happiness. I couldn't believe that I got this beautiful plant from just a small trimming.
Yeah. So, would you recommend being a concierge?
I definitely do recommend being a concierge. I believe everybody should have some form of customer service in their life, because we're all ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen in this world. And I just love my job, honestly. I love my residents more than anything. They bring me happiness. They're constantly always checking on me, making sure I'm good. And I want to make sure I can do for them and return the favor.
Yeah. So, how did you fall into being a concierge?
Being a concierge came from my job as a security guard. The building in which I was a security guard for, the person running that building, we kind of grew a bond, and he was going to open up another building in Brooklyn, and he asked me to work as a porter for him, actually, and that's what I started as.
And what does a porter do?
A porter pretty much just ensures that the building is up to par. It's clean, making sure we get work order done in apartments to make sure that the residents are happy with what they are living with inside their units.
So, are you kind of a handyman as a porter?
No, a handyman does more handy work as to like fixing ACs, repairing floors. A porter pretty much just ensures on the beauty of the building and the safety of it as well.
What do you mean by the safety of it?
Making sure we put wet floor signs after we mop the floor so nobody cracks their head open.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, fair. So, somebody from that building brings, from the place that you were a security guard, is opening a new building, and they bring you over as a porter.
Yeah.
And now being a porter and a concierge, those are both like 40-hour-a-week gigs, is that true?
Yeah, so when I first started, we were actually averaging out 60 minimum a week, 60 hours minimum. So I really didn't have too much time for my input into Zodiac as I wanted. So I had to pull away, I would guess.
Yeah.
But it also helped me brainstorm as to what I wanted in the future for Zodiac. So it helped a lot as well.
How did it do that?
Being away from Zodiac, I got to meet a lot of people in the building who gave me their input and their growth into their own businesses, non-music related. But taking their advice and listening to their consultations really just opened up my mind and helped me think of what I needed to do with my funding and how it can help me change up things for Zodiac.
What was some of the best advice or best things you heard?
I would just say, so all on not being scared to network and not being afraid. Honestly, that's a lot of things I got from most of my residents of my building. They definitely pushed me to keep on trying and not to fall away, not to let it just be something I spoke about. Pretty much.
Yeah. When you talk about not being afraid of networking, what does that mean?
Well, nowadays, people talk a lot, but nobody really talks to other people. They talk to themselves, or they're talking to their live screen. Networking means when you speak to somebody and use one another's whatever agendas you guys have to benefit one another. I feel like nowadays the youth just look out for themselves and don't know how to network how they should, unless it just benefits one party. And that's kind of like being a leech or a parasite in my eyes. If you're going to network, you have to make sure both parties benefit in a way good for one another. And hopefully it can continue on to be a good relationship.
So it's kind of about cooperation.
Yeah, cooperation and common courtesy.
And why does that involve courage?
You shouldn't be scared to step out your comfort zone, because You never know what's gonna happen. I've stepped out my comfort zone and got people who donated to Zodiac. I've stepped out my comfort zone and done a lot. And sometimes I got rejected, which is why I'm not afraid of being rejected.
You said that you're actually good at rejection.
Yeah, I've got turned down a lot, especially being homeless, Growing up, I wasn't always the most handsomest kid on the block,
Okay.
So rejection has definitely played a role in my life. And once you're good after rejection, what do you fear, man? There's nothing stopping you. You've already been told no, so what's worse than that?
Did being homeless make you fearless? Or do you feel fearless?
I was fearless before I became homeless, man. Homeless was just like the eye-opener. Homeless made me appreciate everything I had and now have. It's definitely made me a better person, I would say. Tough love.
So where did this fearlessness come from?
Came from, I guess, all the fighting in high school.
Well, the thing is, you have to be sort of fearless before that, or else you don't get in the fight. It's not like... It doesn't sound like you were a scared kid getting into fights who then,
got courage after.
Yeah, got courage after. It sounds like you had some sort of bravado or, ferociousness beforehand that you were like, yeah, I'll fight.
Yeah, it was always... that's just how I always was. Was not really to it. I guess the way I was built. Thank my mom and my pops for that one. Good genetic coding.
Oh yeah, so that's a genetic thing. That wasn't the household that you grew up in.
Yeah, my mom is hard to steal, so it has to be genetics.
Yeah. What was the vibe like growing up?
It's me and my younger sister. My mom had me. I have a younger sister who's 4 years younger than me. I'm 27. My younger sister's 23. And we just provided for one another. That was it.
So there wasn't no one was like a tiger mom.
Nah, my mom she was old fashioned. That was it. Old fashioned Puerto Rican mom.
Okay.
Make sure you clean. Make sure you take that ass to school, and that was it. That's all life was about. My pops was in the picture, but he wasn't really in the picture, as to say. My parents are still married. Thank God for that. I can't take away nothing from that. But my father didn't get really active in my life until I got older.
And so, if you didn't keep things clean or get to school, what happened?
You get that ass beat. That's what would happen. If you know what I'm talking about, old school Puerto Rican parents, anything near them become a weapon. This microphone I'm speaking into could have been a weapon.
Yeah. Anything solid that can be swung. And
all Puerto Rican mothers can pitch. If you ever got a taco thrown at you, you know what I'm talking about.
Got it. I haven't had that experience, but...
Don't have your mom throw a heel at you. It hurts.
All right. Noted. So, you get sort of roped in or invited to do the concierge thing. Can I ask what the starting pay is for that kind of work?
Sure. It's a union gig. So, when I started concierging, I was getting paid $17 and change.
And is that, again, I'm sorry that my only reference is actor stuff. To get into the actors union, the stage actors union, I think in SAG too, you have to do a certain number of hours of work or a certain number of work before you're eligible to join the union. Yeah. So do you do non-union porter work, and then after you've been porter for a certain amount of time, then you get invited to be in the porter union?
Well, you're under 90-day probation when you start. So once you clear the 90 days, you're in the union.
Oh, okay.
And then from there you start another probation period for your pay rate to increase. And that's how it is.
And how long is that probation period?
My first raise I seen a year into my job.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was 6 months for the union probation period, and then 6 months after that for a raise.
So you get hired, you're non-union for 6 months, or is it 90 days?
Well, 90 days non-union.
Okay, so you're 90 days non-union.
And then after that, it's 6 months.
Another 6 months before your
pay increase.
Your pay increase.
Yeah. So that pay increase is about some change. Nothing too fancy.
Okay. So if you make it that far, then what's the pay about?
About $18.
Okay.
$18, yeah.
So it's $18. And then I'm assuming if it's a union gig that there's benefits and...
Yeah, we definitely get benefits. We get all the good stuff, guys. So if you guys are thinking about getting a job, try and get either a city job or a union-based job, so that way you can reap benefits of health insurance, dental, optical, because all these things are things you need. We have a lot of youth now with kids, so make sure you get that covered as well if you're inquiring about a job. See what their medical and dental and all those plans consist of.
And you get paid time off?
Yes, we do get paid time off. We get vacation, sick days, all of that.
About how much?
Starting, I got about 1 week's worth of vacation.
Okay.
2 days, sick days.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of growth to it. I recommend starting as either porter or concierge and working your way up to a handyman if you see yourself growing in the field.
And then our mutual friend Ryan was a concierge and is growing up. What's he working on? You see, he's going back to school for something next level.
Yeah, I think Ryan wants to end up opening up a building himself and having his own building. So he's going to school, I believe, to become a resident manager.
Okay. And what does a resident manager make generally?
A resident manager can make $90,000 minimum a year.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So
in New York City.
Yeah. Now, as a concierge, can you do any creative work while you're working?
I tend to network a lot working the desk for my building. I'm always seeing people. I have 2 computers in front of me at all times, so I always keep my windows open for work, and I'll keep a tab open to listen out for emails I'll probably be getting that are non-concierge related.
Okay, so you can do some email writing.
Yeah, small things. You don't want to intertwine the two and get caught up and end up losing one job for another.
Right. So this isn't a job where you can multitask. Like, in college I had a job where I was working security, like the front desk of a performing arts center, and for the most part, like, you just asked people to sign in when they walked into the building and then locked up at the end of the night. So it was really straightforward, and you could like get your homework done while you worked.
Yeah, it's a little bit more busier during my hours from 7 to 3 here at the desk, so I really can't stray myself away from too much.
But I imagine if you did the overnight shift, then you could.
Oh yeah, working overnight. Once I finished everything I had to do in the lobby, I'm pretty sure I can utilize that time to put towards Zodiac.
Yeah. So it's possible, but somebody shouldn't necessarily think about getting into concierge work because you can multitask. That's unless you're doing the graveyard shift. That's not really a thing.
Yeah, it's not really worth it. Like I say, I try and keep my jobs as separated from each other as I can, and just deal with the next one once I finish the one prior to it.
Yeah. Is there something that separates a good concierge job from a non-good concierge job?
The person itself, whoever's working it. That's it. If you don't enjoy yourself, and then if you don't enjoy the people you work with, you'll never really be happy in any job.
So I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
But and those are the things that make sort of any job livable or not.
Yeah, like I said, concierge, I mean, it could be rough, but I can do it, you can do it.
I get you, man. Well, you also have a really good disposition for it. I mean, you're very social, you're outgoing, you're pretty chill. Like, it doesn't...
Thanks, man. That all came from, like, other jobs, too. Sociableness, I honestly, as you can tell with my past in high school, I wasn't the most sociable person. But I bartended for a couple years, and that helped me become more sociable, because you tend to be a psychiatrist for people.
Do you actually have somebody, like, sit and tell you all their problems? And
I've done a lot bartending, saved a marriage, talk somebody out of suicide.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm proud I did bartending too. Helped me get the psychological level I needed in this society we live in now. So I'm happy for that.
Yeah. Have you gotten any residents involved with Zodiac?
I've networked with a few residents into Zodiac. None to the point where I wanted it to be, but I've definitely passed along some promotion items to some of my residents. Most of them just really helped me with finding locations that I need and just the networking, bringing me artists and music I can listen to. So there's always been a perk to it as well. I said this concierge job is all about being a people pleaser and also being making sure you're stern too, because you have to know when to put your foot down.
So, what do you feel like is your next step? What's the next thing that you're working on?
As per Zodiac or as per concierging?
I think sort of in like the bigger life picture. So at this point, you're working 40 hours concierge, about 40, 60 Zodiac. Is there a point where concierging phases out and goes away? If so, like how far down the line is that for you?
Honestly, I see myself still doing a little bit of concierge work, even if Zodiac does do big. Like, that's how much I really do enjoy my job. I wouldn't really want to go anywhere unless I had to. Zodiac is doing good right now, and I'm still doing concierge work, so it speaks for itself. But I know Zodiac is going to take off, and eventually I will have to part ways from some of these things, but I plan on taking some people with me.
What does that mean?
Like I said, I spoke to you earlier. I definitely want to involve Zodiac into getting into the independent movie and short films. I definitely want to try and see if we can get into like maybe a Tribeca Film Festival or Sundance, something. Anything along those lines. And you being the great actor that you are,
bring me.
I would love to bring you along and see how we can pursue your career.
Well, thanks, man. I mean, and I guess this is one of those moments right now. This interview is one of the things that we're collaborating on.
Yeah, we can later speak down the line about and be like, remember when we did this? Or if not, we can just be talking on the tour bus when you're on the way to your next movie about this and how we grew. It's definitely great when I have the right people behind me, and I love to network. That's just really what I love doing.
Yeah. Do you have any tools that you use for networking? Things that help you?
Between interpersonal skills, one thing I really did learn to be an eye-opener for working with people, your business card speaks for you.
Really?
Yes.
What's the most important part of your business card?
My colors stand out on it. Zodiac is definitely multicolored. My card is black, so it stands out. But you can definitely feel the dedication and love into Zodiac just by our business cards alone.
That's cool. And that's a nice tip for basically anybody.
Yeah.
Using that as an important first impression and appreciating the value of that.
And one thing I also learned is your first impression is your only impression. So make sure you shoot that ball out the park.
Is that true?
Yep, your first impression is your only impression. Unless you're dealing with somebody with more of an open mind.
Right.
But for the most part, it definitely is. Your first impression is your only impression.
Yeah. So, you do a lot. You've talked about feeling like you're three people in one. How do you keep yourself healthy and sane?
A lot of pot.
Pot. Do you have a blend or do you have a kind that you like?
No, I definitely do like my indicas. People prefer sativas. Just give me the plant as long as it's exotic. And my roll-up is definitely important to me. But honestly, it's just pot. And I find myself meditating a lot lately too.
Oh, where do you use an app, or how do you meditate?
I honestly meditate with my plant on the in one of the empty rooms we have in my building. I just sit with my plant and talk to it. I'll just relax and just catch a nice view with my plant. Mm-hmm. And that's honestly how I meditate here in the building. And it does bring me some inner peace. You catch me talking about my plant all the time, guys.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean, the plant means something to you, and that's share it.
It's definitely like a representation of
rooftops.
Me. Something small to where I want to be.
And growing really fast.
Yes.
Paint the picture of where you want to be. What's the big dream?
I just want to see all my artists successful. That's it. That's my bigger picture. Once I know all my artists are content and good in their life, I can just kick back, smoke my blunt, and ride off to the sunset. I feel like I did my job.
Yeah. How many artists do you dream of having? Do you think you'll just stick with these 7, or
I would love to just stick to these 7, but with all these artists and the growth of everybody, and I see the growth of this agency, I don't want to be a big record label. I do want to remain independent fully throughout this whole ride, so I can show other artists that you can make it this way on your own. You don't need a major record label. You don't need a major talent agent to find you. You don't need all these things. As long as you have the dedication to it, you can make it. And that's what I want to do, and open up that doors for others. That's my end game.
That's wonderful.
Thanks, man.
So where can people find out more about you?
You guys can find me at IG. I recently switched my name from Lou Never on the Gram to Lou All in Your DM. So make sure you come check me out. If you want to keep it civil, you can always just email me at lou@zodiacagency.com. Shoot me your ideas. Shoot me what you want to work if you want to collab. Shoot me your problems if you have just a basic issue. You just want somebody to talk to. Shoot me anything, and I'm there. I'll listen. I'll even respond.
Hey, that's a lot and rare.
Yeah.
Does Zodiac have a website?
Yeah, you can find all our Zodiac blogs and postings of music on zodiacagency.com. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, ZCA Music, Zodiac Creative Agency Music. Check out our content, man. We're dropping new videos every 2 weeks. Show some support. We'll show some right back at you.
Is that the best place? If someone wants to listen through all of your artists, is the YouTube the same way?
If you want to listen to all of our artists, I recommend Spotify. We place all our artists' music, albums, singles, tracks, whatever on Spotify. You can catch our music videos on our YouTube channel.
And does Zodiac on Spotify have a playlist, or is it organized in some way where if I want to listen through the Zodiac catalog on Spotify, how do I find that?
You can just type in Zodiac Creative Agency and it'll show you everything the agency has put out. If not, you can just type in our artists separately. You'll also see their work. But underneath everything, you'll see a trademark logo for Zodiac, and everything is put under it. All our music on Spotify, Tidal, SoundCloud, you name it. I just definitely recommend Spotify because it's easier interface and you'll see everybody there.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Lou.
Thank you, Alex, for having me, man. You've been nothing but great vibes.
Hey, guys. Just a couple quick things before you go. First off, thank you so much for listening. Stop Waiting Tables is a brand new show, so it means the world that you're here and that you've listened all the way to the end. So, thank you. You can find out more about today's guest and check out a full list of all of the episodes that I've recorded on my website, www.alexmcurtis.com/podcast. Also, if you live in the New York area, feel free to pop by and say hello. I have a one-man show called Chalk, a silent comedy. That's chalk like you draw on a chalkboard, chalk. And that happens every month in the East Village at the Crane Theater. And if you're interested in coming to check that out, it's a really playful, imaginative show, and all the details about that are on my website as well. Again, I'm Alex Curtis, and this is Stop Waiting Tables. Happy listening, and until next time. Check, please.